Wow. That's hilarious. Okay, so I think it's working. YouTube Studio wouldn't load, so I had to go back to the classic streaming dashboard temporarily. Doubt I'm the only person who's had this problem. YouTube Studio is just like ridiculous, like how much data it has to load. Anyway, I bitch way too much about free services on the internet. So yeah, as you can see here, I'm rocking the new Second Life 6.3.4.5322299. Ordered, shut down, hot patch release, blah blah blah. Yeah, anyway, this is supposed to help with like crashes that happen on close, which I've never experienced. Like, well, I mean, maybe years and years ago, but since then I can't really remember any time that I experienced a crash on shutdown. Yeah, all that is like meaningless junk information. So, yeah, happy December. We made it. The last month of the year. It's Sunday. And just in the mood to do some more Second Life grid exploration. Any of you guys get allergies? By the way, I've got the live chat going on the right hand side, so I will probably notice if you say something. I will try to monitor the chat as much as possible. But yeah, December is a hard month for me usually. I get really bad allergies, and I don't know why. The last few days my allergies have just been apocalyptic. Golden Marina, huh? Yeah, I had this idea the other day, because you guys might have noticed. Wow, look at all the traffic on this little corner here. Probably some kind of casino or something. The other day I went to a sim and I thought that I might have already been there. I wasn't sure if I'd already been there, but it was possible that I had. So I had this idea to like keep track and create a list of all the sims that I visited. So I'm going to try to do that going forward so that I don't ever end up revisiting a sim I've already visited, because like any sort of randomly guided activity, with the true random system, you're actually statistically likely to revisit something that you've already randomly visited, like in a playlist, like a media player playlist or whatever. So, because this is not a media player playlist and it's actually a kind of like a live broadcast show thing, I want to try to not revisit places that I've already visited for obvious reasons. So let's see, here's Swayland. I'm just once again randomly picking a sim off of the world map. I'm going to see if I can teleport here. I've had good luck lately with teleporting to random sims, because a lot of times you try to do this and you will get blocked because you're not allowed access to that sim. But recently it seems like every sim that I've clicked on, I've been able to go there. So I rezzed right in the middle of a shopping mall of some sort, like a Winter Wonderland shopping mall. This is a really nice clock over here. Look at those articulated hands. Nice bake. Looks like a specular map. Look at that topology. It's pretty sweet. Yeah, they baked it to make it look a lot smoother than it actually is. Because that's a fairly low poly design. Sway Dench, huh? I think I've heard that name before for sure. Took a long time to res. Oh god, gotcha? Seriously? Oh my god. Don't even get me started on that. I feel like I've been here before too. I don't know, this is getting really weird. Oh yeah, I did say last week, and I didn't forget, what I'm going to do this week is try to find an actually like new experience instead of just the same old sim. So this is like falling well within the category of a totally ordinary experience. I really want to find something more exciting and unique. You're about to embark with me on a true journey of exploration here, because I'm guessing probably 95% of the sims in Second Life are going to be pretty like generic and normal. So we might end up hopping through like 80 or 90 sims before I find something that's really worth our time. And I can only assume this is pronounced Nikos. I'm going to try to teleport to Nikos. Kind of, just from that thumbnail, it kind of looked like a sim that was maybe under construction. Didn't really have a lot of stuff happening. I will say this. If you've ever noticed, and here, let me just show you on the world map really quick. In fact, let me find plains. Oh, come on. I can't spell. Is that right? No, fuck. It's plains. Alright, here we go. So, these are like an example of some of the template sims that are available if you get an island, if you buy an island from Linden Labs, or rent. I need to retrain my brain. Rent. If you rent an island from Linden Labs, a sim, they come in like these generic templates that you can pick from like a list of pre-configured land masses, and pretty much all of them are essentially terrestrial. Like you can see there's like green grass and dirt and sand and like mountains and all the sort of like conventional structures. Here's one that's actually kind of cool. It's a moon base. So this is like a lunar landscape. I don't think that's a template, but it might be available in some form. But I'm just bringing this up because here I am at another randomly picked sim, right? And if you look around, like, what do you notice? It's fairly generic, right? It's like green grass, trees. It's in other words, it's a terrestrial type sim, right? And I feel like the templates that are offered by Linden Labs kind of limit, or at least influence the creativity of people, in the sense that they're like, oh, I just bought this, or I'm renting this island that I can put anything I want on it, but it already kind of looks like a terrestrial landmass. So I'm probably going to be like building on top of that, like it's a foundation, in which case I'm going to kind of have a more generic build, versus like if when you bought or rented an island from Linden Labs and it was like a blank space with nothing, like, yes, the learning curve would be steeper, because you would have to be sort of creating something from nothing, which would be kind of a barrier to a lot of people who lack the necessary experience in Second Life to really exploit that kind of limitless potential. But at the same time, it's not going to be preconditioning you to creating a more like terrestrial environment with grass and trees and rocks and whatnot. Because if you think about it, in a virtual world, there's no limit to what you can create. It doesn't have to be a terrestrial environment. It can be anything, right? Like, look at this. What the hell is this? AKH. AKH. Ach. Like, kind of seems could be Egyptian or whatnot, but there's just a big rectangle out in the ocean, or square. Like, what could this be? Let's see if I can go there. So, alright. So, even here, like, once again, another, like, terrestrial environment. Rocks, trees, grass. It's like, don't you think you're kind of reinventing the wheel a bit? I mean, yes, people want to have their, like, ultimate paradise in a virtual world be, like, a place that they could conceivably live in real life, you know, to maximize, what do they call that? That, neurological phenomenon. Mirror neurons, I guess. So it's like when your avatar is walking into this cozy little, like, colonial cabin mansion type environment, it triggers neurons to fire in your brain in specific patterns that mimic what you would be experiencing in real life if you were actually in said environment. So if your desire as a user is to experience those particular neural patterns and experience the consequent emotions that are released when those neural patterns form in your brain, then this is kind of what you're going to be after, right? Like something that's similar to a real world scenario. So it makes a lot of sense in some respects. Oh, I like this wicker furniture. It's awesome. Bamboo. Let's see who made this. Corey Ito. Wow, 14 years old. Back to the beginning. It's a nice little environment here. Really high quality work, man. The texturing is top notch. Wow, look at, oh, those are sprites. Even so, that's a pretty fantastic. I love just how elegant and clean all of this design is in here. So yeah, you get what I'm saying though, like, as long as you're using patterns that exist in the real world, neurologically you're just going to be reinventing the wheel and simulating emotions that you could have in the real world. However, in a virtual world where there's no limit to, the only limit is your imagination, right? And the ultimate glass ceiling of the technological restrictions. Like, I mean, obviously, in my day I've broken Sims many times trying to res, you know, complicated scripted objects that just transcend the capacity of the simulator to you know, simulate. But within the confines of those limitations and your imagination, you can create just about anything you can imagine in Second Life. In which case, the capacity to experience completely new neurological patterns, generate new neuron mirroring in response to, you know, stimulus in a simulation that transcends conventional terrestrial experience is vast and incredible. Like, you could go anywhere in a simulator. I kind of want to visit this one just because it's so, like, I don't know, the pattern really appeals to me. It just looks like a big parking lot or something. It's also called Time and Space, which is kind of intriguing. So let's see if we can go there. I mean, and I don't mean this to be a criticism necessarily, because I've said this in other videos, other Second Life videos, that I am strongly in favor of the whole, like, cozy environment, because, you know, reality is harsh. Oh, this is pretty detailed. Reality That cute little cat mouth. Reality can be really unpleasant at the best of times, and so it makes sense that people want to retreat into a masturbatory fantasy world that's all about pleasure. And as he strolls into like a graveyard with a bunch of card playing skeletons, like this is somebody's masturbatory fantasy right here. You know, skeletons playing cards. Great, I have Elsa, the German Shepherd, sniffing me out here. And so, you know, I my avatar is scentless. Oh well, that was cool. That's a pretty neat effect. Is it a sprite? Oh yeah, it's just a sprite, but yeah, that's cool. Spooky. Yeah, I'm really like super stream of consciousing it today. I can barely talk. I'm so like mentally stimulated right now. But I think the synopsis of what I'm saying is relatively salient. It's like you can experience things in Second Life you can't experience in real life. And yet most of the simulations in Second Life are based on real life scenarios. So the goal of the creators is to replicate real life experience. However, I think because the platform lends itself to experimentation and imagination, that it makes more sense in a lot of ways to explore alternatives to conventional reality. And that's what I'm looking for right now. On the world map is something that stands out in this. Wow, that's a lot of avatars. Yeah, casino, yeah. Seriously, guys, gambling has been like outlawed in Second Life for so long. People are still doing it like those laws don't even exist. All these gaming sims. Oh my god, look at the info hub right here. Nano gunk. And furthermore, as an even more like in-depth, extended analysis, I would say that one of the main reasons that things are the way they are in Second Life is because of the economics and the monetary incentive. Because even the people who are like independently wealthy and are like leasing a sim from, this sounds cool, Oceanic Eternity. Looks like another winter sim though. Even the people who are just like being philanthropic in a sense and just like leasing a sim and having it on the grid as a performance art piece or whatever, or just as a personal what do they call that, where it's a vanity project. Well, this is interesting. Hell's Wind Evolution. Even those people are gonna be like at some point thinking, how can I make money out of this? Or what am I looking at? What in the hell is this? First I thought it was like a hockey rink, but we just have like a mountain. Oh my god, would you look at this thing? Jesus Christ. It's like a biker bar. Oh, this might have something to do with the Hells Angels. But at any rate, it's just another totally ordinary sim, and I'm not looking for that, so yeah, so getting back to the economics, people are like, well, how can I make a little money out of this, to like counteract the $300 a month USD that I'm paying Linden Labs to host this project I'm working on. And that kind of like, I feel, compels a lot of people to create environments that are, okay, this looks like a great candidate, conventional. Because conventional environments are going to be just more familiar to people and are more likely to generate revenue in some way. Well, this is kind of cool. Amazing work here. The quality, I'm already like stunned. Things that haven't even fully rezzed yet. Okay, this is very creepy and yet intriguing at the same time. Yeah, so this is particularly complicated for me because I feel like totally lost my train of thought there. I was gonna say something brilliant. Just insert a brilliant thought into that blank space. I got distracted by the aesthetic of this sim. Redemption, Mortuary, Trailer Park. It's so curious how there's so much like goth or like, I don't know what you would call it, like an Addams Family sort of aesthetic just builds in Second Life. Like they're almost as common as all the other. Oh, that's a beautiful sconce. Wow, everything about that is just gorgeous. That articulated light bulb, I really like the shade. Simple geometry, but the bake really gives it a lot of life. Looks great from a distance too. So yeah, here's another shop, right? It's like making money because you gotta pay that tier. You gotta pay your rent to your sim. So in order for that to be easy for people, you gotta reduce friction, and that means making conventional environments that are like walkable by, you could say the avatars in a sense limit how you can navigate a sim. If you're a newbie, you don't understand that you can fly. At I could fly if they hadn't turned off flying on this sim. So yeah, this peculiar turned out to not be very peculiar at all. In fact, it's just a shop selling a bunch of, and I mean this in no offense, but cliche gothic kind of stuff. So see if we can find something a little more peculiar, or one might say actually peculiar. So yeah, at first I was kind of just joking when I said 98 sims or whatever, 90 sims before we find one that's truly weird. But now I'm thinking maybe that joke wasn't such a joke after all, because I've already gone through like 4 sims and I haven't really seen anything even remotely unusual. This looks just like a building, but this landscape color is curious, so I'm gonna try this one. Kanojo. Okay, so yes, it's just another like strip mall, and Sims have a landing spot, right? So no matter where you pick on the sim to land, you will be dumped at those specific coordinates. So that does kind of change the dynamics a little, because if a sim has, I mean, this one's really straightforward, so it's not what I'm about to describe, but if, say, there was a really cool, unique section over here, and I tried to teleport to there, but then the target location for the landing point was right here in this strip mall, like, it would dump me in this strip mall, and I would miss all the, like, fascinating stuff that was over in this corner. So that's a factor. I just want to point that out in case. But this is just a strip mall, so that was another disappointment. Although I don't want to be too negative, because some of these strip malls may be amazing, you know, and have really cool items and stuff. It's just not what I'm looking for in this specific journey today. This is one of my pet peeves, though, actually, in the viewer, is that the maps load like really inconsistently and slowly. Like every time I bring up the map, it has to like reload all the sims, and at different view levels, like I can roll the mouse wheel to zoom in or zoom out on the world map. At different levels, the sims will disappear depending on how much they've loaded, which makes it really hard to just quickly jump between sims. Okay, this is called Surreal Blue, which may or may not indicate that the sim is actually surreal on some level. There's 24 people on the sim, so it's going to be pretty populated. Let's see if we can go here. Okay, so seems like Winter Wonderlands are really popular today. Pretty much every map I've ended up in has been so it's called Surreal Blue, but it's like New York City. So it's like a New York City simulation. Now, I'm not knocking this because, yeah, a New York City Christmas is what this is. And you can see, like, this is some quality work. These are like high quality assets. Someone spent a long time putting this experience together. Those are beautiful. So like simple, but yet big impact. It's a cool environment. It's just like a little gaming atrium type thing. So wow, there's so much here that I'm getting like a ridiculously low frame rate. I'm saying like half a frame a second maybe. It's horrific, and I would say that has to do with all these trees, with all their lights, like millions of lights. I'm trying to zoom out a bit so that I can. Oh, there's just a ton of geometry here. The land impact, they're probably using like every single unit of land impact. Macy's. Ironically, I think that the whole interest area of the sim is actually quite small proportionately to the surrounding geometry. But the place that I am, where I'm supposed to be like enjoying the experience, is being adversely affected by the external props, which is kind of sad. Although it looks like there's actually quite a lot of stuff to see even in this small area. But yeah, basically the frame rate is just so low that I can't even enjoy the experience. But well, boy, did they really go the full 9 yards with this build. This is like a real, more or less true to life simulation of a, like, I don't know, like maybe 16 blocks of New York City. I am tempted to walk around. Once again, this is an example of another like perfect, like meta paradise for somebody. Like people just love the idea of New York inner city Christmas, like all the emotions and stuff that are released. I mean, sure, a lot of people have experienced this in real life. And now you can like live in that moment forever. It's always Christmas in New York, in Second Life, you can always go into Macy's and buy your girlfriend that dream platinum heart pendant or whatever that you've been obsessing over for her Christmas present or whatever. I don't know what goes through neurotypicals' heads, to be honest. I'm just totally like, depending on movie cliches. So here's like a McDonald's, and I'm kind of like, as I'm going through this, I'm thinking how like sketchy this is in the sense that like these are real corporations with brand names that are like integrated into this. Like there's got to be some kind of intellectual property concern there. The creator apparently doesn't care at all about that, which I can't blame them, being mostly an anarchist. 59th Street. If you actually lived in New York and you were like, you'd been down 59th Street, you might be able to tell me if all this stuff is real. Which, imagine how cool that would be if this was like straight up legit. I personally have no idea. And this is a great example of how Second Life, as I was talking about those hard physical processing limits, because like look at the details on this bicycle, right? It's so detailed. Like the land impact to this is huge, and yet it's just a random prop. Like look at all the polygons that are in these tires and the spokes. It's like thousands, tens of thousands of polygons just for that one object. And these objects are all over the place. So this is like hundreds of millions of polygons in this sim. The rendering cost is immense, which is why the frame rate is so low. And that's a problem, because with if this was like Grand Theft Auto or whatever, there wouldn't be as much detail, but we'd be getting like a 60, 90, 120 frames per second, because the engine and the assets and everything has all been optimized specifically for for gameplay, so that I wouldn't have to worry about the frame rate penalty. God, this is incredible. This is just so huge. I don't think I've ever seen an environment in Second Life this large that had this much detail consistently. This is like really amazing. I'm gonna what the hell? I'm gonna just post the SL URL into the chat for anybody who might want to visit this. Yeah, it's a shame though, because like I was saying, the problem is that this level of detail just isn't practical or sustainable in Second Life, because it's just, there's too many polygons, there's too much texture data. So while you are able to design an experience this incredible, people can't really enjoy it, because I'm on like a super high-end gaming PC that can play the modern AAA titles at like 90 to 120 frames a second, but I can barely even navigate within this simulation, which honestly, some of the assets in here are probably lower poly than you would see in Grand Theft Auto. Not all of them, but some of them for sure. Like, I mean, I haven't seen all the fire hydrants and stuff in Grand Theft Auto, but I'm guessing some of them are probably better than this. I mean, that's a good fire hydrant. I'm not saying it's bad by any means, but it's not like as high pref as it could be. Yeah, this is just off the charts. I don't even know how you could like build build an environment like this, because you got to think when you're like placing the objects and moving the objects, you're probably getting like a similar frame rate, like 2 to 10 frames per second. There's Fifth Avenue. Now I could probably actually look up some pictures of Fifth Avenue on like Google Maps or something and check to see how realistic this was. I always kind of pictured New York as seeming a lot larger and more like intimidating and less like small towny feel like this has. But I've never been to New York, so no clue. Oh, there's a cop car with like all the accoutrements and stuff. Yeah, so anyway, I feel like I've experienced enough torture for one day, and this sim is just too slow to enjoy in any way, so I'm just gonna bring up the map. God, I'm having trouble even using the interface, it's so slow. So, another sim that's kind of like misnamed. Not really surreal. Not very surreal at all. In fact, it's pretty much about as real as you can get in Second Life. This is lagging so bad I can't even. I'm gonna have to go somewhere else temporarily to be able to use the world map. Wow, it really messed me up. Alright. Back on Planes, the super optimized sim. Well, that was an interesting experience. Can't say I've ever been to a sim quite like that in Second Life, mainly just due to the intense, focused, devoted attempt to create extreme realism on such a large scale. That was very unique. Linden World. Sorry if this is like not the best experience. I did ask a while back if people would be more interested in me just going from sim to sim versus spending a lot of time on a single sim. I'm sort of getting a feel now for this mode is quite a bit less pleasant maybe for viewing. Of course, you can always tell me in the chat if that's actually the case, as I have no idea, since I'm kind of like the producer and not really the experiencer here. And also I get very like caught up in what I'm doing to the point where I'm kind of like unavailable intellectually for analysis of anything other than what I'm looking at. So I'm just scanning with my eyes here. In fact, I think I might even make this world map portal a little bit larger. I'm scanning with my eyes, trying to find any kind of sim that looks weird or anomalous. So that means like not a lot of greens or browns, or the sort of this olive color that's so typical for sim environments, which is like the default terraforming texture that Linden Lab applies to large scale islands and so forth. I don't know, probably if I went out to the fringes of the world map, I'd probably have more luck, because I'm not sure like if you get to choose where your island is located when you buy it, but maybe you are, in which rent it, I should say. Maybe you are, in which case I would imagine the people who are more like fringe in terms of being creators would probably choose the outer bounds of the world space to build their projects. That's just sort of like a total guess on my part. Oh, that whole island is for sale except for this tiny little corner spot. Plages des Grainers? That's like French? I don't know. Let's see what's if we can go here, because it's a black box, so it could be anything. Scaling Mount Vesuvius. Intrepid Neo Toy Story. Crest the Peak. Ugh, and it's super normal, although really well done. So beautiful woodland environment here with very high attention to detail. Don't know how many of these are like prefabs, how much of it is custom. It's like a lot of cozy little hangout spots. Wow, I saw this exact same cabin in another build. Look at those inaccessible bookshelves way up there. Like, is there even a ladder to get up there? It just sickens me when people use books purely for decor purposes. A mouse door down there. Wow, look at the crazy like shroud covering this chair. That's nuts. I bet half the stuff in here is probably apple fall. There is a ladder, but it's kind of like dual purpose, I guess. Yeah, I'm spending too much time doing what I said I wasn't going to do here. So once again, flying seems to be turned off. What the hell? Yeah, flying is turned off. That's so annoying. Just kind of like running through the woods to see if... Oh, this is a really beautiful environment. The lighting really stands out here. Like, you don't see super good lighting very often in Second Life, but the lighting seems to be used to really good effect, like almost like in an actual video game where the lights are strategically positioned to like create a more atmospheric and magical kind of environment. So yeah, this one's really out there on the fringes, so I'm gonna copy and paste it into the chat just in case somebody wants to visit it. In fact, I might come back here later on my own just to look around, because I have to say the sort of like landscaping on a really grand and elaborate scale is something that really fascinates me and something I enjoy a lot. This is a very nice little compact build. Whoever's been working on this definitely knows what they're doing. Okay, so back to the map. I want to run this through Google Translate really quick, just because I'm very curious. Okay, it is French, and it translates to Beaches Greniers, which that must be like a common name, I would assume, in French. So Greniers Beach, basically, or Greniers Beaches, I think is what that would translate to. Plags. So plags must mean beaches in French. My pronunciation's probably horrible. Alright, just waiting for the world map to res so I can begin my search again for more interesting pastures. I think it's pretty safe to assume that anything that has the suffix island is probably not going to be, or isle is probably not going to be very interesting, because I think that's like the generic suffix that you get when you rent a sim that is also a quote-unquote private island. Kinky Magic. Alright, I'm definitely tempted, because you know what that's gonna be, right? Especially with all that traffic. Really like a BDSM sex sim. This is Venture Coven, like a witch's coven? Eurotas. Redux. Yeah, as I mentioned before in previous videos, I tend to systematically avoid any sim that has a lot of traffic, just because it's probably gonna be some kind of like spammy tourist trap. Okay. Just like 1 or 2 people's fine though. Siriate. What language that is. This also kind of a black box. Let's see if I can go there. Okay, I'm gonna put this into Google Translate too. See if I can get a translation on that. Apparently it's just English, so it's like a made-up word, I guess. These reindeer sure are cool. Horses. God, there's just animals all over the freaking place. Alright, I want to like set the sun, because this... Alright. Fix sky, okay. So I can see what's going on. Parrots, horses, etc. This is a very beachy environment. The requisite lighthouse. Oh my god. At least it's a nice one. Just a prop though, you can't go into the lighthouse keeper's house or anything. Swear to God, sims like this are a dime a dozen, I swear. It's just like... I mean, just imagine if Linden Labs created like a few sims that were like this. Where they were just like the perfect quintessential tropical paradise, or whatever kind of paradise that people most fantasize about. And then like publicize those sims so that everybody could just go there instead of like recreating these environments. Like Second Life would probably be down to like a dozen sims. I mean, it wouldn't be the same as having like exclusive access to your own private paradise, you know, that you could subtly customize to however you felt like, but at the same time it's still like fulfilling that mirror neuron sort of emotional dopamine hit or whatever that people get when they We're sitting on a virtual beach. None of the doors seem to work on this sim. That could just be because, yeah, like I thought, it's just somebody's baby crazy. Oh, those are cool. Oh, that's such a simple technique. Just some flashing cubes, but it sure looks amazing from a distance. Yeah, so pretty super typical. Super typical. And like really high land impact, man. I'm like lagging to hell in this sim. Alright, so the search continues. So far I've been through like at least 10 sims, I think, and I haven't come across anything even remotely weird. It's all just been completely normal terrestrial environments. One thing I did want to say, like, I know for a fact that there are many, many really weird and exceptional sims in Second Life that are not in any way terrestrial. And I could just search for those and go there. But that's not the same thing and as what I do in my show. So, let's see. HA build, this looks kind of mysterious. I'll see if I can go there. Alright, no access. So yeah, that's kind of more what I'm used to. I've actually been really surprised at how many sims I've just been able to drop in on. With some kind of like private groups sim, seems like. Kit per, huh? Just a black box. These may eventually actually res with a thumbnail, you just never know. That's another like pet peeve I've always had with Second Life's mapping system. I don't know why, or like how does it prioritize? How does it choose which thumbnails to load? I certainly don't know the answer. So I'm going to try this kit per. Doctor Who telephone box. It's not a good sign. Pretty standard. Trees. Snow. God, is every sim snowing today? Like, is it a Christmas thing that just like Linden Labs forces all sims to have snow? I wouldn't be surprised. So, looks like a lot of landscaping, but I can't say this sim looks very inspired. Honestly, it just seems incredibly flat. Like, they just took a totally flat island and placed a bunch of props here and there. Admittedly, terraforming and creating like mountains and stuff is like a next level skill. It's really challenging to make good looking mountains and valleys and stuff in Second Life, and it makes it a lot harder to build on top of irregular terrain, so I can totally understand why some people would choose to just go with the generic flat land to build on. These assets are like low level, like low quality. They're not really like high quality or anything. I think what's in these houses is probably going to be higher quality than the landscaping and external assets. Some nice props. Look at this over here. This is just something I wanted to point out. So cliche. Haha. Got like the Back to the Future DeLorean, the Dukes of Hazzard, whatever the hell they drove, and the Mystery Machine from Scooby-Doo. Like, come on, guys. Total fantasy environment. Like, okay, I get it. That's your, like, that's your pleasure. Yeah, it's like an ad for a Second Life. Living would be like 2 Back to the Future DeLoreans for every home. You know what I mean? Like, what are these collectible dolls in Second Life? What a racket! Like, this stuff exists in real life. How bizarre, huh? To see something like that reproduced. I know those doll things, especially like the bobbleheads, are like big money. Oh wow, this is cool. This is like a little snow globe collection. This is cool, I gotta say. I'm gonna just come right out and say it. Like, I've never seen anything quite like this in Second Life, which is a collection of collectible items displayed in a house laid out like you would in real life. This is actually really cool. I mean, to see more than one and two in the same room is really neat. Like, this person collects like these little diorama things, and then they collect these dolls over here, which is kind of cool. I mean, I don't think the items are cool necessarily. It's just cool to go to that level of RPing, to have like your environment so realistic that you would do something in your virtual environment that you would do in real life that's like a more like obscure skill. This person really likes Beetlejuice, apparently. Arguably Tim Burton's finest work. So yeah, anyway, yet another totally normal sim. So I'm gonna firstly, yeah, this is frame rate's too low, so let me go back to Plain Plains here to play around on the map. Yeah, Plain Plains is totally like my center point for radiating outward and finding random sims to visit. God, I'm almost to my hour time limit for live streaming. I'm lucky today. My wife is over at her parents making Christmas cookies, so I get the whole apartment to myself. I can live stream all day if I want, talk as loud as I want. Nobody's gonna stop me. Roses of Love, Mystery Sunshine. Oh, this is such a scam. Every time a sim says mystery or surreal or, you know, magical or whatever, it's just a totally boring generic sim. Let's see how accurate my prediction is. We're going to go to Mystery Sunshine here for a minute. No valid parcel. That could mean that it actually no longer exists, but the thumbnail is still showing up on the map. Sometimes it takes a while for the like map system to catch up to modifications to the grid. Innocent Love. Shiny Ozine. I'm like vaguely intrigued, although I'm starting to feel a lot more reticent about clicking on these black box sims that I call them, which is where you can't see any thumbnail other than like a square that's a given color. Yeah, this one's called Moonflight, but it looks just as normal as any other sim. I'm guessing if I go there, it's just going to be another like fantasy environment for somebody with Victorian townhouses and a lighthouse. Via Lactea? Is that Latin? Latin or Latino? Alright, can't go to there. That one's off limits. Striking out in this quadrant over here. Phantos. Okay, this sounds kind of intriguing. It's a black box, so I don't know, but let's give it a try. But I had no idea that Second Life was so seasonal. This is like really tripping me out. Oh god, gotchas, really? Gotchas? No, no, no! Hell no. Oh my god. No thank you. Yeah, but isn't this weird? It's like so many Sims that I've gone to have been like winter themed, which is weird. It's like, do people rebuild their whole Sims just for winter? Just for Christmas? I mean, I know it is one of the biggest like business times of the year for the grid. This one's right next door. So yeah, let's see. What was this again? Phantos? Nothing fantastical about you, Phantos. Okay, Sun Sky. Another black box. Let's give it a shot. Looks like a farmstead. Ugh, more snow. Seriously. I'm getting cold here, like sitting in my chair. Ugh. Well, the landscaping seems pretty high quality. The assets look pretty good. Yeah, I'm getting a little jaded at this point, like, dude, your like fireplace is hovering like 2 feet off the ground. That does not look structurally sound. It's a high quality model. Damn, those textures are pretty high definition. Marshmallows and hot cocoa. That looks good. Little cookies. Yep, pretty comfy. Oh, it's got a ski lift. I'm starting to actually break down like a taxonomy for Sims now. Like a pattern language, if you will. So, like, you notice how there's like a pretty specific density of structures on this sim? Like, I don't know, every like 100 meters or so, and kind of like a equidistant layout. So that's part of the like the pattern language. And there's like often there's like some kind of ruin. There's some kind of like cozy house. There may be an atrium, like there is over here. This atrium is actually a really popular one that I've seen on many Sims. Like gazebos, super popular. Yeah, I saw that angel statue on another Sim a while back. Trees, absolutely critical. I really am starting to feel like people are rebuilding their entire Sims for winter, which just seems nuts to me. Alright, back to the map. Sun Sky was another bust. At this rate, I'm gonna run out of Sims. Tukata. What the hell? I mean, just the rule of averages. Eventually, I'm going to find a pretty cool sim. I mean, it's inevitable, right? This looks like someone started to build a strip mall or mansion or something and never finished. I don't know why would there be. Okay, I need to look straight up at the sky. So I don't see a sim up or a mega prim up there. I don't know why they're blocked off on the world map. Like, it's just a brown square, right? But you would think, as long as there's not a mega prim obstructing the satellite view, that there would be a thumbnail for the sim. So I don't know why there isn't. Kind of curious. Like, here's one where there's like, it looks like a mega prim, but then there's some kind of little structure in the corner there. For those who don't know, mega prims are like this sort of weird thing that happened for a very brief time in Second Life, where this guy figured out a way to sort of like hack the intrinsic geometry build system and create objects that far exceeded the allowable legal scale limit for how big you could make a single object. And so they released what were then called mega prims into Second Life, where you could make one single cube that could fill an entire sim space, like from edge to edge, the largest allowable geographic discrete area size in the world. So, in other words, you could res one of these mega prims on your island and create a barrier between the ground and the whatever imaging system Linden Labs used to photograph the sims. So in other words, like normally on the world map you see whatever's on the ground, whatever's there in the sim, but if you res a mega prim and lift it off of the ground like really high, then all people are going to see is that mega prim, which could have text on it. Like, you could put an image on it and people would just see an image, or you can just leave it blank and then people can't see the ground. It's kind of weird that Second Life eventually made it impossible, I think, to like res more mega prims, or they made them illegal or something. Like, maybe I think the creation of new mega prims became illegal and impossible, but the old mega prims were like grandfathered in, so I think you can still use them in Second Life even today. I'm not sure, because honestly I never had the need for mega prims and never even bothered messing around with them. But I'm really, what I was trying to say was, I'm surprised that they never like made them illegal and just removed them completely from the universe. Maybe that's impossible, but it kind of seems like a lot of people I know, probably almost many residents in Second Life used mega prims in their builds on some level. Well, this looks interesting. Apollon Island. Okay, I gotta check this out, because that's a very strange, like, racetracky looking thing on there. Oh, it's like a water park. Wow, holy crap. I can't even imagine how long this must have taken to build. Jesus Christ. Well, this is a little different. I'm gonna come right out and say it. You could not do this in real life. Well, you could, but it would probably be financially prohibitively expensive to do this. Like, just imagine the structure, the like scaffolding and support structure you need to build a water slide this high, and like it would be totally illegal. Like, look at how high up this is. Like, just imagine this in real life. So here we go. Here's a vaguely unique mirror neuron scenario where there's no analog in nature or on Earth aside from a normal water park. So I'm gonna ride the. Here we go. Here we go. Oh yeah, this is awesome. This is totally awesome. Do I feel like I'm actually in a real water park? A little, honestly, yeah, a little. With VR goggles or something, this would be awesome. I can move my head around, so I'm like actively like following the trajectory as I go down. This is pretty exciting. I wish the tube was a little more transparent, because like I can see through it well enough, but that like foggy kind of texture detracts a little from the experience, I think. I mean, I guess it's good that there is a texture there, otherwise it would seem less realistic, but so yeah, how far down am I? Like, I'm not even like a third of the way down this thing. Oh my god. So yeah, if you were building a water park in real life, this would totally be like your ultimate fantasy, right? Because everybody would want to come to your mile-high water park that had like a 4-mile tube run. Like, that would just be awesome. Everybody would want to go to that. But it would probably cost like $2 billion to build. And it's kind of funny if you consider the fact that in society we have enough money like to build nuclear reactors for $5 billion that then supply power to hundreds of millions of people. Well, not hundreds of millions, maybe a few million. I don't even know how many people can be supplied by a single nuclear reactor, but it's obviously not hundreds of millions, but it's like maybe a million people for every $1 billion they spend, so maybe 5 million people can get their power from a single nuclear reactor. So, like, what I'm trying to say is that we have the money we have $5 billion to build a single nuclear reactor. So why don't we have $5 billion to build a mile-high water park? Because human experience and having fun isn't as highly valued in our society as electricity? Is that why, or is it more complicated? I mean, like, there's just nobody pitching this, nobody who can justify. I'm about to come to the end here. I'm getting really sad. This was quite the journey. Wow, A++, dude, this is awesome. This is awesome. Go to this Apollon Island. This is awesome. I'm pasting the URL into the. This is great. This is so great. Seriously, this is really cool. Go to this island and just go down one of these water slides. And I'm like stuck in the raft. Ah, the sound effects and everything. Oh, there's even sharks in the water. Although it's just kind of floating there. Dead sharks. So yeah. Okay, so I did it. Mission accomplished. I think I went through like, I don't know, 15 sims maybe before I came across this bizarro, awesome, super weird water park sim. Yeah. So this is cool. I mean, just imagine a future where people can like experience stuff like this in real life, or at least with virtual reality at like higher fidelity with maximally immersive simulation technology. Like you could have a water slide that started off in space, in outer space, or like on another planet. I mean, of course that would take a long time to get down to the little pool or whatever, but yeah, anyway. Oh, that rainbow one's cool. I'm gonna check this one out. Oh yeah, this is my kind of sandwich right here. Is there any other game? I mean, I played a lot of games. This isn't really my genre, but I'm sure I'm sure other people who end up watching this video will have played games where perhaps there was something similar to this. Like, is there a water park simulator out there already, like where you can build ridiculously large water slides? Because this seems fairly unique to me. Yeah, pretty cool. Anyway, yeah, so mission accomplished. I think I'm gonna consider this a win, if not a very protracted win. The next episode, I may try to do this again and find some more like really interesting and exciting sims that aren't so conventional. My avatar is a little tired after his long day swimming, so I'm gonna try to take a sleep in this bed over here. Since he can't lay down, he's just gonna have to stand up or sit down on the bed. There we go. Yeah, but this was kind of cool. Like, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I'm really searching for in Second Life, is truly bizarre and unique experiences and environments that don't exist in real life necessarily. So I hope you guys liked this episode. Feedback is always appreciated, so please, if you feel like it, just leave some kind of a comment telling me like what you thought, like if you wanted me to do more of these like grid hopping type videos versus a single sim exploration, because I enjoy either one, but I really would like the direction of this show, my live stream, to go more towards the sort of like speculative side of environments in Second Life. So that's what I'm going to try to do. Let me know if you think that sounds like a good idea or not. And yeah, I hope you guys have a good rest of your weekend. Neo Toy Story signing out.